There's this recurring idea you can find across all mediums of storytelling. Let's talk a bit about a few. In video games, there's a scene that sticks out to me in Naughty Dog's Last of Us, performed brilliantly by Troy Baker. Then there are film scenes such as these in Forrest Gump. Let's have a look at this moment in the anime Your Lie in April.
All of these moments, scenes, and sequences are built up to this one central idea: to elicit emotion, to empathize fictional characters.
Empathy is defined as the action of understanding, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another, of either past or present, without having the feelings, thoughts, and experience fully communicated in an objectively explicit manner. My name is Jon, and thank you for joining me. Are the emotions we feel to our favorite characters real? There are theorists out there that would argue about the emotions we feel when reading, watching, and playing narratives. Rather, we're pretending to feel. This train of thought follows the Pretence theory of emotional response, coined by Kendall Walton from Mimes as Make-Believe on the Foundations of Representational Arts. Walton's theory posits that the emotions we experience when consuming narratives is psychologically equivalent to a child's make-believe scenarios. The theory suggests that we play our emotions along with characters similar to how children play make-believe on the playground. It is true to some extent though, at least from an interim standpoint. And when I say interim standpoint, I mean this. Take for example Persona 5, 2017 LSP Studios' latest game in the franchise. One of the game's central parts is building connections with people, the confidants you meet in the game, each with their personal individual stories you can connect with. However, I don't emotionally get distraught over their turmoil when I step out into the real world. They aren't real people I continually wonder and think about. But in game, they're people I want to spend time with. It's that aspect here I'm putting a lens on. What this theory doesn't explore is why we can't control our emotions at will. They swell and they surge in the direction the characters take us. Sometimes pleasantly predictable, other times usurping our expectations. The theory also doesn't explain why the characters stay with us well after the credits roll. We want to know what's going to happen to Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, or what kind of relationship Taki and Mitsuha will have when the screen fades to black. And trust me, I've looked at enough fan art in one day to scratch that itch. So what does biology tell us? Our brains have responses to fictional characters similar to our responses to actual living people. Empathy comes from the right supramarginal gyrus, that's right here in our brains. A research team led by Tania Singer found that when we interact with other people, we can't help but use our own personal experiences as a reference point for other people's emotions. Hold on to that thought. I'm gonna get back to here in a minute. So why is empathy important to story? The significance of how empathy is used for characters comes in two parts. First, the way the characters are written, and second, how we, the audience, react to it. So how are they written? They're written to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is defined as the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. The focus here is to be exposed, to have a moment of weakness, to strip away power from characters. Most of us know that feeling all too well. Vulnerability is the key component to making characters empathetic. Take for example the recent anime I just fell in love with, Mob Psycho 100. Mob Psycho 100 follows the story of an 8th grader, Shigeo Kageyama, who is the most powerful psychic in the world. His desire to be popular, sociable, and accepted makes him empathetic. Shigeo wants to be defined as someone more than just a psychic prowess. One took a character of catastrophic proportions into quality we can all relate, especially someone in Shigeo's age. They made him have vulnerable qualities. Let's look at Star Wars: The Force Awakens. This is one of the earlier scenes of Rey. I love this scene because this is the film's quietest moment. This scene humanizes Rey. It's somber, contemplative, lonely, and private. We, the audience, can relate to private moments such as these. It makes sense, especially in a universe where there's a force, there's explosions, robots, and lightsabers. There's something else in this scene too. It's showing us deeper layers of emotions. What those deeper layers of emotions are, well, that's honestly up to us to make sense of. And here's where Tania Singer's research comes in. We fill in the blanks. As I've stated before, empathy is when we use our own personal experiences to help inform us about the emotions of another person. In most cases, we don't get the full story. We are only given a specific time frame to understand and empathize with the character. Deliberately not giving us information allows us to fill in the blanks by projecting our own personal experiences onto the character. Let's take a look at this scene here in Uncharted 4. There's this moment early in the game. The game gives you control of Nathan Drake and you just explore his house, and then this interaction happens with Elena.
Ah! What? Where are you?
If you haven't played the previous games, all you would have is a sense of his needs. The only information you get in the scene is the painting, his eyes, and the sound. There's a moment of vulnerability and a desire for adventure you can see in his eyes. Do we know exactly what Nathan's emotions are? No, but again, we fill in the blanks with some context and the rest with our own similar personal experiences. Without it, the scene would lack a certain punchiness. Empathy also applies to the most hard-edged and despicable characters. It's a testament to the writer's capability to strike a balance, whether it be a villain or anti-hero. Here's what I mean. This is Shu Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist. He's introduced as a loving father, soft-spoken, kind, and polite. He slaves away at work for fear of poverty and regret. We latch onto these particular qualities. What we later find out is that he's also desperate and selfish, which provides additional context to what he does later to his family. Because of the balance established between his likable and dislikable traits, we feel betrayed in our emotions, and as much as we don't root for him, we can still recognize his emotions. He doesn't embody a stereotypical villain caricature. There are many characters written this way. Think Walter White's physical and psychological deterioration from Breaking Bad. Think Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street as a new guy.
You're able to do drugs during the day and still function, still do your job.
Well, how the fuck else would you do this job? Cocaine and hookers, my friend.
Right.
Think Loki in the Thor films.
You know, it all makes sense now why you favored Thor all these years. Because no matter how much you claim to love me, you could never have a frost giant sitting on the throne of Asgard.
There's a reason why we, the audience, gravitate to Loki more than Thor. Think Lou from Nightcrawler, a sociopath with ambitions to be great.
I'm looking for a job. In fact, I've made up my mind to find a career that I can learn and grow into. Who am I? I'm a hard worker. I set high goals, and I've been told that I'm persistent.
There's a deeper logic to build empathy into characters. Empathy raises the stakes. It allows the character to matter to us. What they decide to do matter to us. Empathy carries a bias. Paul Bloom, Brooks and Suzanne Reagan Professor of Psychology and Cognitive Science at Yale University pointed out that on many issues, empathy can pull us in the wrong direction. The outrage that comes from adopting the perspective of the victim can drive an appetite for retribution. Whether or not you believe the emotions are real in experiencing narratives, capturing the essence of humanity in our favorite characters is important. Let's say you're waiting on a bus and someone sits right next to you. You may start asking questions just to get to know this person, and you may learn about this person's life, and then they disappear, never to see them again. You feel that you know everything about them in that fragment of time. In turn, you may learn a little bit about yourself. That's the power of empathy. You give and you receive. That right there is what it's like to experience a character's story in a fragment.